And good afternoon. I am Mary Carnahan. I'm the eLearning Resource Specialist at the Indiana Department of Education, and welcome to today's webinar, Spruce Up Your Lessons, Go Digital. I want to take a few minutes here at the beginning to just review a few housekeeping items and to tell you a few things that we have going on. First, the housekeeping. I have muted everyone as you entered the meeting, and please be sure to leave your phone muted. That way we won't have background noise as our presenters are sharing their information today. And as we go through, if I hear people unmuted, I will be sure to mute you again, just so that we don't have the background noise. Like that. Also, as we go through the presentations today, please be sure to share your comments and questions in the chat window. We will be changing presenters a couple of times during the call today. So when we do that, your screen is going to reset to how it was at the very beginning. So you will have to go back up to the green bar and open the chat window and get that back again. So just keep that in mind as we change presenters. Also, when you make comments in the chat box, make sure that you have send to everyone. Make sure you choose everyone from that drop-down menu next to send to. It will default to whoever the presenter is, and we want to make sure that everyone can see your comments and questions as we go through the call today. So just keep those things in mind. This is the eLearning homepage, and I just want to point out a couple of things that you will see on the homepage. The first thing is the Hoosier Student Digital Leaders Program. We have just started that. That's a brand new program. If you have a student tech or leadership team at your school that either you oversee or maybe you just know of one in your school that another teacher oversees, please visit this website and just check out what we have going on there. There's a lot of great stuff. Like I said, this is just beginning, so you can really get in on the ground floor and help kind of direct where this program might go. Also, you will find a link to the Speak Up survey. That's the second thing right there on our homepage. The Speak Up survey is open until December 19th. Please take a few minutes to complete the survey and also encourage your fellow teachers, your students, and their parents to participate in the survey. This survey provides valuable information to local, state, and federal education leaders. And local schools get that information back. So it's really exciting to see what your audience, what your customers, I guess, your students and parents have to say about what's going on in technology in your schools. We have a weekly Twitter chat that is every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. This week's topic is how do we prepare students for online and virtual learning, which is a great tie-in with what we're talking about today. And that will be moderated by Michelle Eaton. This is a really low-stress Twitter chat. Some of them have hundreds or thousands maybe of participants, and it's just a go, 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 go. But this one is a little bit more low-key, easy to keep up with. So if you're looking to join a Twitter chat, this is a great one to join. And now on to our main topic for the day. Again, our topic is Spruce Up Your Lessons, Go Digital, and we'll be joined by a few teachers who have done just this. Starting out with a grant that we did 2 years ago now, I believe it was. But we are going to start today with Molly Yowell, who is a teacher from Danville Community Schools, and she is also the person who has kind of gotten to take charge of this grant program. So, Molly, are you with us?
Yeah, I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I apologize because I've been sick, so I'm kind of in and out, but Mary said I don't sound as bad as I think I do, so if I cough, please excuse me. I am Molly Yowell. I am a high school English teacher. This is my 9th year in teaching. I actually teach one period. I teach a college level course at my high school, but then the rest of my day I work with Mary and the rest of the Office of eLearning team from the IDOE. I've done that last year and this year, and I serve kind of as a grant coordinator for a lot of the work that gets done by our local schools. Last year I was able to work with 19 schools across the state on various topics, one being creating digital content. And then this year our focus really is on curating more digital content to kind of continue the work that was done last year, because we had all sorts of lessons, digital lessons and digital units that were created by K-12 teachers in various content areas. And although we have a lot of content, we also have a lot of gaps because there were 6 different districts that were having teachers curate content, and it was basically anyone who was willing, you know, to curate. And so as a result, you know, we have a lot of great work, but we also have some holes. And so this year, when Indiana adopted the new math and ELA standards, we decided that we really wanted our focus to be on getting digital content for K-12 teachers in math and English language arts, and our hope is to kind of expand that program. We're thinking about starting a social studies cohort, so if you're a social studies teacher or an elementary teacher that's into social studies, and incorporating that in the K-5, K-6 classroom along with your ELA, be on the lookout for information on that coming after winter break. And we're hoping to just expand our cohort programs to continue this work so that we can get more free digital content built inside of various places that we can then share with Indiana teachers and then, of course, teachers across the country as well. A lot of the content that we build has been inside of My Big Campus, primarily just because a lot of the districts that we've worked with over the last 2 years are My Big Campus schools. But we also have teachers building content inside of other LMSs, also just using like a Blend Space or Google Drive as well. So like I had mentioned, a lot of what we're going to share today is a result of a lot of the work that was done last year, and then we're continuing that work this year. I did want to share with you and let you be aware of a document. It's a working document. I just shared it in the chat window with you all. It is just a Google Doc, but it's a document where we're starting to place all of the content that's been built over last year's grant period and now this year's grant period with the digital content cohorts. We have a lot of content, like I said, built, but it's kind of spotty, and we've just listed by subject area or by grade level, and you will find just direct links there to various lessons that have been built. Like I said, mostly inside of My Big Campus. If you are a Indiana teacher, you have access to My Big Campus. So even if your district's not a My Big Campus school, you still have access to view the content and at least grab resources from it, which is a nice thing. So I wanted to share that with you and let you know that it's a work in progress, but feel free to take a look around the document, see if you can find some resources that you can use yourself or that you can share with your colleagues. We are currently adding some of our ELA work that's been done last year and then this year in our math as well, because if you notice on that document it says, you know, ELA and math content to come. So that's a work in progress. We have a very lofty goal in that, you know, by the end of the year, as a result of some of our grant work, we could have you know, a digital lesson built for every standard K-12 in math and ELA. And we realize that's a lofty goal, but currently we have 29 teachers from across the state working to support those efforts along with the schools from last year. So we feel really good about our work, and we're thankful that folks like yourself are joining us in this movement. And as always, if you're wanting to participate in the work that we're doing, you could contact myself or anyone at the office, and they can get you in contact with me, and we can see how you can join our efforts to build free resources that we can share for ourselves and for our colleagues across the state. So I just wanted to give a little background information on kind of the work that we're doing around curating digital content. Thankfully, I've gotten to work with a lot of really great teachers, a lot of really great administrators, and tech integration coaches from across the state. And today with me I have Rachel Porter from Southwest Parke, and I also have Amanda Hoagland from Southern Hancock, New Pal area. And they're going to share on some of the work that we did last year. Basically what they do in their districts is they help their teachers integrate technology, but they also help their teachers and give them support when it comes to digital content curation. And we kind of have like a system set up, I guess, if you want to call it that, where we kind of have these parameters that are set and a model that our teachers can use if they want, especially for those people that are just getting started in content curation. It kind of gives them a mold to use. So along with content curation, although comes obviously finding good resources, and we know there's so much out there, so where do we start? So Amanda's going to go ahead and start off for us, and then she's going to pass it over to Rachel in a little bit. So Amanda, if you want to make yourself a presenter and turn your mute off, we are ready to hear from you.
Mary, I think you sent the presentation to me instead of to Amanda. There we go.
Okay, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello, Indiana. I am Amanda Hoagland, and I am from Southern Hancock, and my role there is to assist teachers and students with using technology for teaching and learning. And so I am very excited to be here this evening to present to you some ways that you can curate and find quality resources. When it comes to curating and finding quality resources, it can definitely be an overwhelming task. So we're going to hopefully break that down for you a little bit tonight and talk to you about how you can go about this. This first slide that I'll be covering for you is all about just that. And as you begin to explore online learning, I'd like for you to think about what resources most interest you for your classroom. In today's digital learning environment, teachers are probably most interested in finding resources that they're going to use in their classroom, such as videos, interactive websites, and even new ways to personalize and customize learning. So today I'm going to show you some resources that will help you do that. As I said before, all the information that can be located online can be very overwhelming, and it's sort of an information free-for-all. So we want to make that easy for teachers to collect and curate those. So tonight, I have included for you some links that go out to a Pinterest board, and this first one I'll cover is about lesson databases. When you click on the free digital content database in Pinterest, you'll be taken to a lot of different search engines that will allow you to find resources for your classroom. So whether you teach math or language arts or whatever it is that you teach, whichever subject area you are most interested in, you'll find something here. The first resource that I'd like to share out with you, and there's a link also in the presentation, is one that has been advertised by the IDOE, and that's MBC Learn. And as you go into MBC Learn, if you go to the Indiana portal site, you'll be able to go in and sign in. And then over here on the left, I'd like to direct your attention to the different filters that you can use to help you search for and find lessons. So for example, if I want to go into current events, I'll be able to pull up some videos and click on some of those resources. When I click on a resource inside of MBC Learn, here at Play Now, you'll be able to get a transcript of that information on that cue card. You'd be able to save that to your video library inside of your MBC Learn account. It just has a lot of really great videos and resources that you can use for writing piece in your classroom and so on. So if MBC Learn is one that you've been using for a while, or maybe it's new to you, hopefully that would spark your interest on some resources that you can use there. Another excellent free database is one called SAS Curriculum Pathways. I'd like to show you that now. It's the same idea in that you can find excellent resources to use in your lessons, whether you're looking for a great introduction video to a lesson or you're wanting to offer your students some basic skill practice, there's something in here for everyone. So for this example here tonight, I'll go ahead and click on mathematics. If I were teaching a lesson on, let's say, fractions, I could go in and I could type in fractions up here in the search box. I could also break it down with the filters over here on the left. And just as an example, I'll go ahead and click on fractions flashcards so that you can see that. And then I could give this link to students in a web page or in my Campus or whatever it is I'm using, in an email perhaps. And I could go ahead and send that. Students could access this resource and then they could go in and complete the activities. And as you can see that, I found this resource very quick in using SAS Curriculum Pathways. So if you're interested in finding out more information about how you can search for and find excellent online interactives or videos, then this free digital content Pinterest board may be of some interest for you. All right, moving on. As our district worked with 5 other districts for our grant opportunity that we received in Southern Hancock through the Imagining and Creating grant through the Office of eLearning, we were able to pull out so many great resources from our talented teachers as well as other districts' talented teachers also. And once we put all that curriculum together and that content together that Molly was sharing earlier, and that we'll also cover as we look at My Big Campus in just a little while, the resources that we gathered from that are just amazing. So I tried to collect some of those language arts and math resources for you here, and I'll just spend a few more minutes sharing what these Pinterest boards have to offer. With this language arts Pinterest board, you'll see that there are many resources in here for you to explore. One that I'm going to point out for you, just so that you have an idea of one of these, is one called readtheory.org. Readtheory.org is a website where students can get reading comprehension practice, and it's completely free. You would sign up your students on this website, and you would connect your account to theirs so that you can track their progress. They can read passages. As you can see, it has over 1,000 online reading exercises. Once students log into this information and they log in and receive an account and sign up for that, then they'll be given a pre-test, and then the pre-test will cater customized learning activities to their reading level and to their lifestyle range. So this is one resource that our teachers have definitely been taking advantage of in our Pinterest board for language arts. Next, moving on to another great language arts resource is one called Curriculate. And inside of Curriculate, you can see that I can create a class and have online assignments for my students that revolve around book titles that are already in here, and some are free. And what's nice about these book titles is that an entire class can read one of these novels together, and then you can pose questions inside the text where the questions show up in the margins on the right-hand side. And it makes for a really neat interactive reading experience online for students. So there are more items just like these inside the Language Pinterest board if you're interested in looking at that as well. So check those out. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email me out at NewPal, and I'll definitely get back with you if you need further assistance. All right, up next, if you're wanting to spruce up your lesson plans in math, we have some math resources and a Pinterest board there as well. For the Math Resources Pinterest board, one that I would like to point out for you, there are obviously lots of interesting sites here, but one that I've recently discovered and our teachers have brought to my attention is a website by Robert Kaplinski. And if you go to this Pinterest site here, or just go to robertkaplinski.com, you'll see a variety of math, nice picture, huh? You'll see a variety of nice and interactive math lesson plans that revolve around real-world questions. So, for example, it starts off, as you can see here, that students write linear and quadratic equations or functions from a pattern. And so they would do that by reading these articles and going to the site about how many hot dogs did this person eat. There are other interesting lesson plans, including how many soda combos are there on a Coke Freestyle, if you've seen those in restaurants. And then you can pose math questions to students online with great graphics and interactives there. So if you have not checked out robertkaplinski.com for all those math teachers out there, that would be a great resource for you to check out as you write and create your digital lessons. Mathalicious is our next site, and it's really very similar to Robert Kaplinski's site in that you can find real-world lessons from math, and this one's geared toward middle and high school teachers. If you go here, you can search for a lesson, you can browse the over 100 lessons that are here, and then you can post some interesting questions for math class. All right, I've curated a lot of content here and looked at Pinterest boards, but I'd also like to tell you about some other boards that would be interesting to follow. You can follow the Indiana eLearning Pinterest board. They have many pins that are worth checking out. You can follow their board here. Again, there are some resources that have already been discussed today that will draw your attention to those. And so looking through those, I'm sure you'll find lots of boards that would interest you there. Also, Rachel Porter has a great Pinterest collection. She's going to present to you here in just a few minutes, but she has over 70 boards in all subject areas that she has curated with many interesting resources for you. So hopefully you'll find something in there, something for everyone as we begin to go digital. All right, next I will flip over to the next slide, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about social bookmarking. So looking over the web, we know that it's obviously very overwhelming, and if you ask teachers where they're storing lessons online, you'll get a variety of answers. Some teachers are storing their resources on bookmarks in a browser, or they're posting items to a blog, or they're pinning things to their Pinterest board. What's nice about bookmarking these items on a social bookmarking site, and we'll share a few of those with you, is that you will be allowed to have particular websites where you can collaborate on those as a group with your team of teachers, or as a building, or as a subject area. You can all share these different bookmarks. So Diigo is one site that comes to mind when we're thinking about curating content. You find a great resource online, or where do you put that, since you can definitely find it later. And Diigo, this is my Diigo list online. Diigo allows you to create lists of bookmarks online that you can share and that others can add to. I've seen some Diigo lists used in lots of creative ways. I've seen administrators use these to organize professional development resources for their teachers. I've seen teachers use Diigo to give lists to parents as far as how they could help their student with homework help or field trip information and so on. So Diigo is a great resource for sharing bookmarks. Next is LiveBinder. If you've heard of LiveBinder before, then these resources will look familiar to you. With LiveBinder, we've recently used that for a research project. So students would access their teacher's LiveBinder, and this particular research project I'm thinking about is one over owls. So the teacher created many tabs across the top over owl research that the class was doing, and then the students could go into that LiveBinder and click on their particular owl that they were researching. I'll go back to that resource now so you can actually see the owl LiveBinder. What students were also able to do was not only for looking up the different owls that they were researching, but the students could also look at and share different videos of the owls out in nature, which was a really cool project, and that students really loved seeing the screech owl and the elf owl and seeing them out in their environment with owl cams and so forth. So it was a really neat project. If you're wanting to pull together a research project for students, Live Finders is a great way to go. Last but not least, another great social bookmarking tool is one called Symbaloo. If you go out to Symbaloo, you will find a variety of resources again there so that you can collect those and save those for later. I know I've had one pulled up, so I apologize for all the clicking around that I'm doing. But with Symbaloo, you can definitely find boards that allow you to bookmark many things. Here's one of my favorite Symbaloo boards that I've discovered, and this one's over National Geographic. So I could click on any of these tiles, and it will bring me to this Symbaloo for National Geographic magazines. So if I click on this one, it will take me to the story. And then there are obviously many other tiles that students could go to. This Symbaloo board is great for using as a home screen or a default screen, so that when students open up a web browser, they have the Symbaloo page that they can immediately go to. If you go into Symbaloo and you research in the search box, you can find many different Symbaloos that are available to you. So I hope that you were able to find and perhaps recall some resources today that have been shared with you, and hopefully you'll find some use with those as you get started with going digital. I'll go ahead and pass it over now to our next presenter.
Can you hear me, Rachel?
Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. Okay, let me get my chat window back up. I'm not very good at watching it while I'm speaking, but I like to have it visible. There we go. Okay, so I get to talk to you today. Amanda has done a terrific job of showing you some great places to look for your content, really good resources, and places to collect them in terms of like social bookmarking and those kind of things. So what I'm going to talk to you about at this point is how, as a consortium, we worked towards collecting those into individual lessons so that you can take the variety of resources that you do find and put them into a nice organized collection, a nice flow that you can work students through. And we're doing most of that within My Big Campus, but I'm going to show you some different resources you can use if you want to start curating and pulling your own lessons together as you find these terrific resources. But I'm also going to show you some of the resources that we pulled together as a consortium and are continuing to work towards. So it all began really with a discussion of quality. We really wanted to make sure that the content that we were curating, and I know it's your goal as well as you begin curating digital content, you want it to be good. You want it to be high quality and not just, a few YouTube videos thrown together. Not that there's anything wrong with content off of YouTube. There's a lot of great stuff there, but there's a difference between a collection of a couple videos from YouTube and truly a high quality lesson. So we began, Wayne Township had already developed this, and we just did a little tweaking to fit the needs of the consortium, but we went from their high quality lesson checklist. So I'm going to show you that first. This is just a rubric or a checklist showing the different parts of what makes for a good quality lesson. And Wayne Township based this on the work of Madeline Hunter, who's been around for a million years, and follows a direct instruction gradual release model. So, it begins with the highly teacher-centered direct instruction, but quickly releases that to students and lets them work towards being able to do things independently. So, we have all the quality pieces here. We have an objective, student will statements, and how they should be phrased. That the lesson should include a summary, so we know what type of content is going to be available. Definitely needs to be tied to standards. And of course, start following a good quality lesson, starting with a hook. We have an anticipatory set just to get the kids' attention, introduce them, connect them to prior knowledge as we begin our teaching. Then as we move into the actual instruction, it begins with direct instruction, but gradually releasing, as I mentioned before. Formative assessments to kind of check for understanding as you go. One of the pieces that is often missing when you find a lesson, sometimes there is not an assessment portion of that. And that's something that we wanted to really make sure was included. Whether it is something formative or summative, there has to be some form of assessment if this is going to be a quality lesson. So that is part of it as well. A good quality digital lesson has to be organized. Students have to be able to follow the flow of where they're supposed to be. Even if a teacher is highly directing that, there still needs to be good organization and labeling, fonts and headings. Everything needs to be easy to read. That's just an important piece when you're doing things that are so highly visual. In terms of the course content, we wanted to make sure it included a variety of media resources. We want to make sure that we don't just have video after video after video, where you can use websites, videos, of course, but also interactive games, lots of just different types of content that is out there, and we want to make sure these lessons include a variety. Another quality piece is just making sure that your links work, and that's something that you kind of have to constantly check up on. Websites go down, things move, links become bad. Our teachers, have been doing this content curation for a while now, and sometimes they've commented to me, I have this whole bundle, I was so excited to use it again this year, but I found out that 2 of the links in it were bad, and that is something that you have to check up on. So something that you have to kind of stay on top of. We want to make sure the content is rigorous and encourages higher order thinking, so we try and include some high-level Bloom's taxonomy into these lessons as well. Copyright protection is, of course, very important, that you are not scanning pages of a textbook and including them in your content collection where you would be in breach of copyright. We did have in our content some things that our particular corporation has purchased, some subscription services. And so some of our content does have a little note on it that warns people that some of the content may not be accessible if you do not have a subscription to that. A good example would be Brain Pop, which is becoming more and more common and is fairly affordable, so a lot of schools do have Brain Pop, but that's something that is common in some of our content as well. Information literacy, we did talk about how we want to give students an opportunity to see good digital citizenship modeled and also to practice it themselves. So that is an important piece to consider as you're creating your digital content. And finally, I kind of mentioned this a little bit before, but we want the students to have some interaction. We don't want them to just sit and get. There needs to be some interaction in one of these various forms, or maybe all 3 of them, where they're interacting with each other or with their teacher or with the content, but somehow they need to be interactive and not just sitting and watching video after video. So we used this as our foundation for creating truly quality lessons and kind of as a measuring stick to put everything against before we stamped it as certified and put it out there for others to use as quality digital content. Okay, so that's the foundation. I spent some time on that because the rest of these things on this slide kind of flow from it. we were creating our content within My Big Campus, as Molly has already mentioned to you, and we're going to show you some of those bundles here in just a few moments. And so to give our teachers a good starting point and what might be helpful to you if you want to start curating your own digital content, we've taken this checklist and made it into a template, a My Big Campus bundle template. So I'll take you to that and let you see what it looks like. There's a lot of instructional text in here that you can use to figure out how to use this bundle template and then what goes into each section. So this top part is all just about kind of some general information. But then as we scroll down, we have these graphic headers that can kind of divide and organize your different sections of your bundle. And then underneath it, it tells you what type of content should go into that particular section. So you can branch this in My Big Campus. If you're not familiar with that term, there's a little button at the top. You click branch, and that gives you a copy that you can then edit. So as you branch this, you can read this instruction of what to put into this particular section, and then you can insert that content and then delete the instructional text. And work your way on through the bundle. So we have the introduction, the instruction itself, the activities, so we're beginning that gradual release process, and then students working towards complete independence, so we're going to assess and see how they're doing. And then the following section, the very last section, is an extension, and this serves a couple different purposes. It can be for reteaching, if that is necessary, but also for enrichment of students that are doing particularly well and maybe they finished the lesson early. You want to keep them on task with that same content, but they need something that's going to take them to the next level and challenge them a little bit. So we try to include pieces on both ends, the reteaching and enrichment in that extension area as well. So I can see that Molly is posting all kinds of goodies for you in our chat window that she's giving you the link to this bundle template. I will post for you as well. Let me go grab it myself real quick. A lot of our teachers, once they kind of got the hang of creating a high quality bundle, they found that they didn't need all that instructional text in the template anymore, and so they really wanted kind of one that was just graphics only. So I did that for them. It was pretty simple. I just took all the instruction out and gave them a bundle that's just those header graphics. So once you kind of get your feet wet, this template maybe is a little bit easier so that you don't have to go through and delete all of that help text as you're working through. So maybe that will be helpful to you as well. Okay. As we have moved from the consortium into the cohort that is working this year to fill in the gaps, as Molly talked to you about, some of the teams are not using My Big Campus for their content curation, and they have created a template, pretty much the same type of content, but only in blend space. So you've got all these different header graphics as well, so you organize your content, and teachers can just click through here. And here's some, again, instructional text kind of explaining how to use it. And then they can start inserting their content in between the header graphics. So again, just a time saver to kind of give you a starting point, especially if this is your first experience in curating digital content. I was excited, oops, I went back. I was excited to see this. Amanda, who you heard from just a few minutes ago, created this for her teachers as a guide. It is showing just some good resources for each section. So the first part of the template is an introduction, that anticipatory set or hook. So she's created a bundle here that gives you some really good resources for good lesson starters. And she has several, I think she has 5 different places listed here that you can go if you're looking for something to put into that introduction section. And so I think that's a really great resource for her teachers to use and for all of us to use. And then she created a different one of these for each of the sections. So there's also one on the instructional portion and one for the activities portion. So a really great job, Amanda, creating those and giving your teachers that guidance towards finding the right materials there. If you'd like to see the creation of a high-quality bundle in My Big Campus, there's an archived webinar. We just did this last week, and in that you'll be able to see me pretty quickly, I'll admit. That's why there's a pause button, though. That'll help you out. But I do walk through the entire process from the starting with the template all the way through a complete published bundle, just showing you kind of the basic steps of how to take that bundle and that template and branch it, and then put your content into it, where to find that content, how to pull it in. It is a pretty basic overview, but there's certainly a lot more details and bells and whistles that you could do. But that is a good starting point probably for you if you want to dive into trying to create your first high quality lesson, at least in the form of a My Big Campus bundle. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so let me just show you, oops. I'm a little mouse happy here today. My goodness, maybe I'll just use my keyboard. Okay, I want to show you just a couple examples of some of these high quality bundles if you've never taken a look at them. So I'll start with this one. I like to start with primary grade things because as I've traveled to other schools, it seems like the high school teachers don't really struggle too much with finding the materials they need and pulling and understanding how they could pull them together and how they could use a digital lesson. But as you move down into the lower grades, it seems like those teachers are the ones that really want to see what it would look like. How do we have digital content for kindergartners? So I definitely wanted to show you this one to start with. This is from one of our kindergarten teachers, and she's put this together about Veterans Day. Just to give you an example too, though, that this is a holiday themed one, but she also has started creating bundles for each of her letters. You can see this was branched from her bundle on the letter R, and so she's just creating a bundle for each of the letters as they are studying them. So here's her introduction. She has a quick little hook video, and then she starts going through her instructional piece and her activities. I will mention, as you're watching this, that not every piece of this bundle is something digital. We, at least at Southwest Parke, really believe in a blended model that we don't want students on devices all day long. We want to use those where they can best benefit their learning, but offline activities are still good, and we still promote that, and we still encourage that. So you'll see on and offline, back and forth throughout this bundle. So there's a few videos, and in the extension area, she has a video as well, but also an interactive veterans website that is specifically geared towards kindergarten through 5th grade students. So just want to kind of give you a picture, especially if you're a primary grade teacher, of the fact that you can use digital content with those lower grades as well. I'll just show you maybe one more, and then I don't want to use up too much time. I want to make sure that we have plenty of time for questions. But I do particularly love this bundle. This is a 5th grade math teacher, and she's got this great hook. It's extremely visual and really helps out those kids who learn things very well through what they see. And then she's got her direct instruction piece and kind of talks a little bit about how she's going to do that. But as she moves the students into being more interactive and releasing the independence to them, she has them working on their whiteboard. She also has them participating in an online discussion about how they could use this particular math skill in a real-life scenario and responding to their peers. And then we move into the assessment part. Here is where we are using a couple of subscription services that we have at Southwest Parke. Alex, you wouldn't be able to use at all unless you had a subscription, but IXL does allow you to have students do at least a few practice problems even without a subscription service, so that might still be a helpful tool for you. And then in her extension area, she has a couple things. She has a reteaching video for anybody who might need that, and then a game formatted activity for the students who really need to be challenged, and she's directing them, to the hardest level of that so that she can make sure she pushes them a little bit further. So there's just another example of one of these bundles. And the next thing I want to show is just how you can find these. Of course, there's several other examples here, and I think you have the link to the slideshow so that you can follow those and check those out yourself. But I want to show you how to find these within My Big Campus. Now, Molly shared out a Google Sheet earlier that has links to all of these and has them kind of organized by grade level and content area as well. But there are several high-quality bundles that are outside of math and language arts. We have, social studies and science and foreign language and health and PE. There's all different content areas. So I want to make sure you know how to find them within My Big Campus as well. So we're just going to go to the library, My Big Campus, and actually I went to the main My Big Campus page because I want to point out there's a search box up here at the top of My Big Campus, and you can certainly use that, but I find that when you're looking for library content, it really is best to actually go to the library, because this one up here is searching all of My Big Campus. It's searching groups and topics and people and everything. So if you actually go to the My Big Campus library and use the box that you'll find there, I'm just going to search for multiplication. And as I get my results here, we have websites coming up and bundles coming up. And as I scroll through, you can see right here that we find one that has a badge on it to show that it's a certified lesson. And that just means that it is been judged and shown to meet the criteria that was set forth in that original checklist that we talked about earlier. If you only want to find the certified content, you can filter that once you've done a search, and you do need to do a search first for something. But then over here on the right in your filter options, you can check off NBC certified only. Don't ask me why it's on there twice. I really am not sure. But then you can click search, and now you'll find just the content that is certified. So instead of scrolling through page after page trying to find those high quality lessons, I can click on that and find out that there's really quite a few of them that meet my search keyword of multiplication. So you can search by keyword. You can also search in by standard. I think that we are pretty close to having everything converted over to the new Indiana standards so that you'll be able to search by that way as well to find those high quality bundles. Okay. I think I have covered all the content that I had listed on my slides, and so I think we're ready to open things up for questions, or if Molly wants to jump back in, if there's anything else she wanted to add.
Can you hear me, Rachel?
Yes.
Okay, great. No, I think this would be a good time. We have about 13 minutes left, although we don't have to go to 5 o'clock. If people have questions, I think we had 1 or 2 people for some reason that weren't able to open the presentation. So if you want to even send me your email addresses on the chat, I can share the presentation with you individually and see if we can get it to work that way. So you can have the links to all the great resources that the ladies were sharing. Also, don't forget to take a look at the Google document that I shared earlier. I'll post it again with those resources that we are continuing to add to through our work this year with the cohort. Open it up, check it out, share it with your colleagues. It's definitely spotty in some areas, but we have quite a lot of content. I think last year, as a result of our consortium alone, we created over 900 lessons, K-12 in various content areas. So we're hoping to beef that up, especially with ELA, math, and social studies. And spread the word to your social studies friends as well, that we're looking to start a cohort up with teachers who are interested in creating content for that content area. So if anyone have questions, you can post it in the chat box or unmute yourself. I'm always bad at using the long pause with my students, because I want to jump in too quickly. So I'll practice my patience here just in case I don't want to miss anyone. Mary, did you have anything you wanted to close with? oh, does our school have to have My Big Campus? No, your school doesn't have to have My Big Campus to view the bundles that are published. The majority of the content listed on this document that I shared with you has been published inside of My Big Campus, which means it can be viewed by anybody outside of the system. There is a note on each individual document that says the links highlighted in red have not yet been published, therefore you need to actually be logged in to My Big Campus to view it. But if you don't have a My Big Campus account because your district doesn't use that LMS, but you're interested in getting in the system to view those lessons, I just shared a link in the chat window. You can actually sign up directly with Lightspeed, who is the company that owns My Big Campus, and sign up for an account with them. And because we're an Indiana school and we have a contract with My Big Campus, you can have free access to My Big Campus through next summer at least to view content. Obviously, if you're not a user of My Big Campus and you don't have an account and the bundles are published, you can still view them. However, you're obviously not going to benefit from the assessment feature and the discussion features and some of those things that teachers use inside of the system. But you can still see all the great resources that they've linked to, the YouTube videos, etc. It's a great place to find resources. Yeah, just like Amanda said, the My Big Campus library is great. So even if you're not a My Big Campus user, I know Tanya at Garrett Kaiser, they're a Canvas school, but they could still go inside the My Big Campus library and find great digital resources that other teachers have shared just as a place to go and kind of browse. And then they could take it into their LMS and use it there as well. Other questions? All right, well, thank you to everyone who joined us today. We appreciate your interest in this topic, and we are excited that it's catching on and people are getting excited about content curation and all the neat things that we can do with technology. Mary, did you have anything else to add?
I don't. Thank you, Molly, for organizing this, and Rachel and Amanda for sharing all the great information. And yes, as Molly said, just keep looking out for more resources that we'll have. And also, if you want to participate, feel free to, or if you have questions about what we're doing, feel free to email Molly, or you can also email the Office of eLearning at I think our email address is just elearning@doe.in.gov, so I will put that in the chat box too.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll hang out if you have questions. Take care.
Yes, thank you all.